Right, okay, first nuts and bolts. 4 bolts around the turret top, which you can undo, and there's no way, unless you've got the angriest gas shocks in the world, that you're going to damage yourself. So while I'm undoing these, I'll just point out, I've got the jack underneath the radius arm at the front. That's the equivalent of being on the chassis. Axle stands on the chassis. So the car's supported using that lovely ratchet again that extends. Great top that is. So you can undo these 4 without damaging yourself. Once again, not using any air tools. Trying to keep it all ratchets and nuts and bolts, spanners and that's that. And you can see that with that unbolted, it's still being pulled down, which is the weight of the axle and the spring. So this is the point at which you would want it supported. If you're just changing, if you're changing the shock, keeping your turret, keep your spanner on the top, and there's a flat in the thread. Can I have a look? There's a flat in the thread on top of the shock which you pinch, and then hopefully, all being well when it's not rusty. Oh yeah, WD-40. If you know you're doing the job, start soaking it up a week early. It really will make the difference between nuts and bolts coming undone when you want them to come off, and not. So lots of pain and suffering. Right, okay, so that's that. I'm not undoing that because what we're going to do now is I'm going to lift the car up and use a tall axle stand so we can get right underneath with the camera so you can see everything we've got to do under there. Right, okay, I've changed position so you can get a better look underneath where the nuts and bolts are, and retaking the pressure with the transmission jack. Obviously you'll be doing it with your trolley jack, and that is now not under pressure, which means the jack's taking the pressure, squashing the spring up and the weight of the axle. So that's now safe to undo nuts and bolts. If they don't come undone, those bolts, going to be very difficult to get on the back too. So hopefully they'll snap, because when you buy your suspension stuff and your turret tops, plan ahead, buy the new bits and pieces you need. Assume nuts and bolts are going to snap, especially on Land Rovers, and you won't go wrong. Right, oh yes, if you do have to cut any nuts and bolts, 1mm grinding disc, cutting disc, superb bit of kit. Cheap old grinder, but 1mm cutting disc will go through anything like a knife through hot butter. Right, okay, so yes, that's that. Now, next pair of tools, we used it on the service DVD. Because we're changing the shocks, we're not particularly worried about how polite we are to them. They're nice and soft, the casings on these old ones. So I'm just pinching it up nice and tight. I've already loosened it and made a start, so you haven't got to watch me unwind nuts and bolts. Big nut underneath. I loosened it off with the 19mm end, 19mm ringed end, but don't unwind it all the way with the ringed end on, because it won't clear, you won't get it back out. Right, okay, so that's that. Nice, simple job so far, and hopefully, all being well, I've got a lever handy, all being well, spanner will do. That's the old shock. We'll lever up, that's not the right height for me now, so there we go, and lift off the top. There you have it. Slightly misted, standard Land Rover shock. If you, the bottom is a lot more solid, so if you are just changing a broken spring, get your clamps around the base of it. I've squashed some flats into that, took the paint off, so choice is yours, but at the end of the day you've got to do what you've got to do to get bits off and replace them. Yeah, that's nearing the end of its days, that turret top. Right, okay. Now, dangerous, because now that spring can let go. There's the shock absorber's not in there to stop it going anywhere we don't want it to go. So, let the jack down nice and steady. Nice and steady, shouldn't be a lot of pressure in it. Go. If you do get that, just leave the jack there. It can't go all the way down. Lovely. There's the old ring. That'd probably go again actually. Thread's just about usable. And there's one used Land Rover spring.